So thinking about the next essay task, which is finding out, task 4 is finding out more about your subject. That would be your kind of standard research on artists. It's just about getting more understanding of where that work is coming from. So it doesn't sort of sit in a vacuum, if you like. You understand more about the background information or relation, what relates to the artist and the subject matter that they've been playing around with. So we began with description based on pure observation. This is more about, as I say, researching in lots of different ways, finding out more descriptive information, or what else can you say, what else can you tell someone else about an image. And often people's first instinct is to look, instead of analysing an image for themselves or kind of judging it based on what they can see and working out what they can see, they'll go straight to the internet and look at what someone else thinks and then not make a decision for themselves in terms of what they think about something or try and analyse something. So of course that's fine. It's just it comes to the point when you need to say something about something at an interview, or you need to kind of work within a team. And if your confidence is, you may know what you're talking about, but if your confidence about talking about art is not very high because you haven't given yourself opportunities to sort of develop that, then this is aimed at helping you with that. So prior to this, this is looking at the previous PDF, and the first lecture, I think. Prior to this, we've looked at subject matter, medium, and form. This is an opportunity to look more at the environment around the artist, about the artist, why they did it, what kind of times they were living in, and what kind of times they were generally in the world. So this is where we start to work with the idea that you can work from your own observation, internal information, so you can try and work something out, try and work out what an artwork is sort of saying, or external information, so from outside, some kind of factual stuff that other people have said about the artworks, and that information can be got from libraries. There's a lot of very good artist websites. There's a lot of very good places like museum websites and gallery websites that can give you very good information. And often on the artist websites or the gallery websites, they'll have articles that they'll have collected articles from the press, so you can kind of have a quick skim read. And my feeling is, when you're judging an artwork, that you read a lot of different sources, and you don't have to really go madly into it. Remember that these are quite short tasks. We don't need you to kind of madly study something. It's just we want you to sort of check, I guess, what you thought from your own pure observation, and look at images that you've chosen, or the artist, maybe more the artist that you've chosen, and look at what other people have said about them, what other people have said about how they're made, and what kind of style they might have used. And style is often related to the background or what's kind of going on at the time. So Robert Mattinson, in his book Breaking Boundaries, about Rauschenberg, said that Rauschenberg was suggesting with this image estate that the ability of the modern city to accommodate variety is one of the great legacies of modern experience. And I think, if you see the image as a monument to that, that makes it kind of good. I think it's a good evaluation of that. And the signposts that you can see here, the kind of stop signs here, had all disappeared by the time this image had been made, and that's because the area was redeveloped to accommodate a bank. But the sign was also sort of shows how interestingly complex the area was, and Rauschenberg felt that might disappear with the way that urban planning might kind of destroy these places. So, in a sense, Rauschenberg is recording and saying this is here, and trying to kind of keep it for posterity before it gets, before big business changes it and ruins an element or a part of the city. This is the library kind of search engine screen. If you type in the artist that you've got in there and get a list of the books, this is the book I've chosen. This is Robert Mattinson's book about Robert Rauschenberg. It has a kind of a library reference number, which you go to the ends of the bookshelves and see where those numbers are kept, and then you'll see on the shelves all the books that are on Rauschenberg in that section with the actual reference numbers there. Take the book out, have a look at it. I mean, this is obvious thing to say, take the book out, but have a look at the actual image that relates to your work, if you can find one. It's so much better than seeing images on the internet, and then just have a browse through the book and seeing if there's any kind of other stuff that interests you. You might want to kind of think about for kind of your future. It might be influential for your future development, and see what writing there is around the artist. Here there's a famous kind of fine art writer called Rosalind Krauss. It may not be for you, it may be not particularly interesting, but that's fine. Have a little skim read of what you see in the text and see if there's any info there. Don't feel like you have to sit and read the whole thing. Books are there to be browsed, and we are artists and designers, we're not necessarily academics and intellectuals. So see what you can get from these different books. It's often better than kind of trawling the internet and getting a second-hand quote, if you like, or something you can't verify. If it's in a book, it can be verified. You can kind of see all the reference that this author's written. So that's an important aspect of researching art and design, that you're not just plucking things off Wikipedia, that you're kind of working out for yourself what an image means, and then maybe just checking by using a book or using the internet, what other people think of it, and then kind of thinking, does that change your mind, or does it add to what you're saying? Do you feel like you've kind of made a very good interpretation and judgment of the images that you've chosen, or do you feel that the extra information or the extra research that you've found is helps make a more fuller kind of understanding of that image? Just flicking through this Rauschenberg book some more, just looking at some of the stuff that he made prior to the estate image in 1963. It's just thinking about where he came from. Rauschenberg studied at an arts college called Black Mountain College, which was very famous because it employed a lot of incredibly famous artists and architects and designers and choreographers and writers and poets and photographers to teach the students, and the students that came out of that college were absolutely incredible. So Rauschenberg was a student of that college, and he was taught by the artist John Cage, and Cage was very interested in using the idea of chance, an idea that he was influenced by Surrealism and Dada, where in Surrealism and Dada artists would look at everyday objects that had been thrown away and kind of think about those objects in relation to what they suggested or reminded them of, or what connections those objects would make with each other. So Cage taught Rauschenberg, and Rauschenberg then developed his own ways of working, where he would kind of gather lots and lots of materials together and combine them in all sorts of incredibly exciting ways. Just stopping on this image for a moment, it shows you well how kind of Rauschenberg works. You can see him in his studio there. You can see the size of the images that he's working on. This work in this period from 58 to 70 is called transfer drawings, prints and silkscreen paintings. So he kind of combined the photographic imagery that he'd collected as opposed to the actual objects that he'd used. And this is him in his working space. You can see how he would set up his studio. Quickly looking at the Wikipedia pages that are about Black Mountain College. We can see here that gives you some basic kind of factual information. And Wikipedia is always good to refer to, to kind of, it is brilliant in one sense. It's just, it should be used in combination with all the other resources that are available to you. We feel as the teaching staff. So, painters like Ben Shahn are just incredible, and Aaron Siskin, the photographer. These are the people teaching there, and then there's people like Rauschenberg and Kenneth Noland as painters that came out of it were just incredible too. So it's a really interesting place. And just thinking about particularly John Cage, it was a huge influence on Rauschenberg, and I think what's interesting about Cage and Rauschenberg in relation to the foundation course is that they worked across disciplines. They used music, they used art, they used theatre, they used dance, and I think that's very important to kind of feel that you can kind of use a variety of media, as Marcel Duchamp did, who was also a huge influence on John Cage and Robert Rauschenberg. And Duchamp was, kind of worked with surrealist movements and the movement of Dada in the kind of post First World War, 1916, 17, and just after that. And Duchamp's very famous for using the first person to use everyday objects as artworks, as this fountain here. Thinking about something that one of the artists I was talking about last week, Michael Boremans. I just tapped his name into the search engine here. It's quite interesting is that you get, you notice here there's this David Zwirner. This is a gallery, and he is obviously showcasing Boremans' work. But also on this page you get some images of Boremans, which is great, and also you get people related to Boremans. So these are all other interesting artists that people might want to look at. I know that's a standard kind of Wikipedia thing, but I like what it says, his painting technique draws on 18th century, this must be from Wikipedia, 18th century art, as well as the works of Edward Manet and Degas. So what they're saying is, his work is quite, like I was saying last week, quite classical, quite academic, but he might not necessarily see it like that. So if we have a look at the website, on this side here, often these websites, this is the gallery, David Zwirner, and there's other info here, but here it's got selected press. It's also got other publications and things, but if we look in this, we can find other kind of articles that are written about this artist in particular. This would work for a lot of other situations, whether you're looking at fashion through Show Studio or whether you're looking at Illustrator's website. There'll be some information about whatever it is you want to research, but this is, we consider this quite a good way. If you look at the artists or the galleries or the museums or the association, whatever it is that you're interested in, this website, then you'll get good info. And I think what's nice about this, I clicked on this article here at random, and you get the whole kind of scanned in article as a PDF. Now, what's great about this is you've got these very, very strong illustrations, but just looking at the kind of headline text here, I think this is a lovely quote, and often you can get something quite interesting just by kind of quickly breezing through. And I like this idea. This is something that a lot of the teaching staff here says. If you're motivated, how do you get motivated? If you're motivated, you can focus, and then you can paint, even if you have little talent. And that's this artist is well known for being very blunt in the way he talks about art, but this idea, how you get motivated, is very interesting. If we look at another artist we were looking at last week, Maurizio Anzeri, you've got three options here for him. You've got his artist profile, so his work has been bought by the Saatchi Gallery. You've got an article here that looks like it's come from The Guardian, and you've got an artist website that it looks like here. look at this article in The Guardian, and again, the person writing about this, Sean O'Hagan, is a kind of well-known writer about photography. So, you know, a lot of people think his opinion is quite interesting. So he subverts the poignancy of discarded images. So I guess what he means by that is an image that's been thrown away kind of has a bit of a story to it, and by kind of sewing on top of it or changing it in some way, he kind of, I don't know, amplifies that story, or kind of helps that story kind of become even more rich or interesting. It kind of becomes more poignant. It's a good word. Poignant kind of means sad, but, you know, making a bit of a point about someone's life, you know. And a lot of the thing that's quite sad about photographs, old photographs, is that, you know, a lot of the people will have passed away. You know, they won't be alive any longer. So it's very interesting to see someone and kind of think about their lives and what they were like and what they did. So as you have researched your image, just ask yourself, has it kind of you know, affected what you think that the art, you know, what point the artist is making? Do you feel like you understand better what the artist was trying to do with the work, or the designer? Have you changed your mind about it? What do you think about the other artworks that they've made? Do you understand what was going on around it when they made their work, the context? So your task is to research your two selected artists and artworks. So go online or in the libraries, photocopy pages out of books, collect it together in your journal. You know, it's kind of the standard sort of things. Make some notes from your research, to kind of, you know, from what you photocopied or looked at. Try and put things into your own words. It's called paraphrasing. Try and look at something and think, you know, how would I say that, as opposed to just copying, you know, what someone else has written. And it always looks, you know, very clear. What's nice about the drafts that I've read, you can see it's in people's own words. So try and think about that. If you're gonna you know, use a quote from them, and that's absolutely fine, but you do have to put it in quote marks and make sure that you attribute the author. So research your artists, find out as much factual information as you can about what other people thought about their work. So we just looked at what a writer in The Guardian thought about Maurizio Anzeri's work. Try and think about how it's made, find out about how maybe the artist constructed it. You may not be able to find out all of this information, but whatever you can find out is going to be useful. You know, who influenced the artist, or what affected it? Was there some sort of experience, or was it, you know, the way they were taught? You know, what was going on in the social times at the time? You know, other artists, etc. Bring your research to the next session, because you're going to chat to people about what you found out about the artist, and almost tell each other this story, that the extra kind of facts that you found out, and how that's changed your interpretation of the work, or how that's changed your evaluation of that work. So make sure you bring something to the lecture theatre for next week.